Hello and welcome back to AFL for Dummies opening round part 2. What a game we just had on our hands. Melbourne versus Sydney at the SCG. We've got 3 big games up and coming for the weekend. Johnny, how good was it? The first game back in the AFL. It's so good to see.
Very excited. Oh my God, how good was it that footy is back? It was almost surreal when the ball bounced. It was just absolutely amazing. We learned, I guess, a lot of things we said came to fruition. There was a few things I was wrong about, which was really cool to see. And we got to see an early piece of where Sydney's at, where's Melbourne at. And there was a few young players. We had established stars show what they need to do. It was just fantastic to see. Great start to the year.
Pure clash of the Titans with Gawn and Grundy, ex-teammates going head to head. They would have known what each other really had to offer, and it was really good to see. Well, what was your take on that? Because I thought that, Grundy had an exceptional game. You were talking pretty hard.
I've been super hard on Grundy, and everything I said was justified in terms of Grundy was the second. A few years ago, it was Gawn Grundy.
Yeah.
And Grundy was a superstar. But as soon as he got his max contract, through injuries or form of himself, he's done nothing. Today, and I said mentally, where is he? But he had the chance, though. At Sydney, it's his side now. He's the number one ruckman.
He was rested.
He's rested. He's full. He's ready to go. He was on today, and it was absolutely great to see. And like I said, the amount of support.
Yeah.
Speaking to people that I know about Grundy, everyone just wished him well. Well, I was a little bit more negative about him, and I'll admit that. I will admit that I'm wrong. We'll always do that. The support that I heard for him during the week was fantastic. And you know what? He proved me wrong in a big way. He had 31 Gawn had 39 hitouts to 31. But that's irrelevant. If you actually...
I'm just going to go through. So Grundy...
I just wanted to hear that.
Grundy was the 4th leading possession getter.
Yep.
For Sydney today.
Yep. So let's take the stats out. If everyone watched the game, if you saw the ruck contest, Grundy every time would sprint to where Gawn was. Why did he do that? He did that because if Gawn gets a leap at it, he can dictate a hit out better than Grundy can. Yeah. He is a better tap ruckman. When they are at their primes, he would always wipe the floor with him. Grundy spending that time at Melbourne was invaluable because you got to see what he did. So I hope everyone watched that instead of just looking at stats because he would run directly at Gawn. He would nullify that run contest. Grundy didn't, whoever won or not, because Gawn did win the ruck contest by 8. But it was pretty close. But it was nullified. Did anyone notice Gawn during the game? Apart from the start of that third quarter, it was like Grundy did a tagging job. However, Grundy dominating contested possessions. He was fantastic at the clearances. Grundy's skill is not as a tap ruckman. He's an extra midfielder. And like we said, with the injuries to Mills, to Parker, Taylor Adams not playing, he played another midfield role. And it was absolutely fantastic to see. And Grundy, I know I was hard. I'm gonna take credit for the motivation for you.
So Gawn actually only had 4 hitouts. Looking at the review, 37 versus 33.
4 hitouts.
37 hitouts for ruck hitouts.
Yeah.
To Grundy's 33.
Yeah. Sorry,
and Gawn had sorry, I got it wrong. So I thought it was 39 and 31. Looking back at it, there's actually been a correction. Yep, 37 and 33. Gawn only had the 14 disposals. 8 kicks, 6 handballs.
This was the important thing. Did you notice Gawn?
No, not at all.
Apart from the start of that third, when in that third quarter, Melbourne 5 goals, and we'll run through the whole game. Melbourne kicked 5 goals to 3 in that third quarter. Gawn did start to show a little bit of signs, but you really didn't notice Gawn.
No.
Grundy almost tagged him out But when a tagger does that, you normally don't notice them. Grundy contested possessions, clearances. I think he had the second most clearances in the game next to Heaney.
I think he had, what was it, close to 9 or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. So he not only tagged him out,
yeah,
he won on the other end. And like I said, Grundy's another midfielder. It's absolutely phenomenal. And as I said, I put the acid on him, but I love to be proven wrong. People don't like to be proven wrong. I do. And Grundy, great story.
Now, let's jump into that review. So overall, Sydney got up 86-64. It was, straight off the bat, what did we talk about yesterday with the preview? We said, look, Papley should come out.
Well, you said this, Josh. I asked you the question, how does Sydney win this game? And there were two things. I said, capitalise on Melbourne's mistakes because they probably will kick a lot of points. They were 1-6 at quarter time and I think at 1-8 at their worst. You said Papley needs to really energise this game up. And Papley, he kicked a goal in the first quarter and he was just on from start to finish. It was absolutely fantastic. For the whole game, he was the energizer bunny. Absolutely.
He's a gun. He's a pump-up player, but he's a very important player for their team. Like, I think he's grown. And you know what was really noticeable? Franklin not being in that team. How different was that for their forward line?
Okay, so and that's what I said. Are they going to have an identity? And this is where McLean,
You're right.
McLean was huge.
Massive.
Kicked a goal on Gawn in that third.
Yep.
And he bombed up for 2. But I think Papley really started that off. Melbourne owned that first half.
You know what's really, really weird? So they were 2-8 at halftime. So they were on 20 points up against Sydney on 27. Now, the problem that I have, they kicked straight after in the second half. They actually recovered. But I think they had 29 inside 50s and they had only converted, 2 and 8. Well, you look at that to halftime and you go, these guys there were so many opportunities. If you were a midfielder kicking to the forwards, there were a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of missed marks. The forwards were sloppy.
That second quarter, Christian Salem in that first half was brilliant.
Yeah.
He hit Fritsch on the tit, missed. Sparrow, missed. Viney, missed. And there was 3 entries from Christian Salem, who I reckon was one of the architects of that 2021 premiership. He's in that Basher Hooley sort of type. He's the general. He doesn't have the pace, but God, he's smart with his head.
He knows how to kick a ball in the right spot for players to walk.
And he was in the midfield a little bit tonight, and it was good. And 3 players just need to gobble that up. Melbourne's problem has not been fixed. The biggest problem in the finals, they were better than Carlton. They were better than Collingwood at a lot of periods during that game. They outscored both of them. Outscored. They had more scoring shots than both of them. No different to that first half. But if you watched that first half, Sydney were a side. There was a flow to it. It was like watching. We forget Sydney in 2022 were clearly the second best side in the league. And they were the best defensive side in the league. They dropped off last year, and that was true to contest a ball, but they love a good slog. But they went for it. Melbourne, though, when they went forward, very slow, and every player on the ground was there.
Not only that, there was no movement in the forward line. For the forwards.
Their forward line were not really leading struggled.
Regardless, even if there were people in front of them, they weren't walking through them or running through them.
Well, Shaki looked very slow. Van Ruin was very slow. Apart from that bullshit kick that he kicked. That
bullshit goal that he kicked.
Laurie just started. I mean, their best forward. Fritsch after halftime was really good. He kicked 4.
He was a gunner.
He was handy. And your boy Viney kicked 2.
That was funny. I said the other day, Viney doesn't hit the scoreboard. I think they'd said, the commentators said only 3 times in his career has he kicked 2 goals. So there we go.
Well, he kicked 2. He was good.
But I think that's 4.
So we were talking about both those sides' forward lines are their weakness.
Yeah.
Sydney learned with not having Buddy, and this is what I thought would happen because it was very Buddy centric. They spread, they looked for options, and then when it needed to be, that's when McLean comes in and kicks 2 goals as a key forward. Melbourne had no identity. Shaki was horrible. Van Ruin was very average.
Yeah.
Bullen tried. I'm not going to go on that. Laurie was okay. Fridge kicked 4. But there was just
Fridge
no
doesn't
synergy.
have any help at the minute. And the one thing that I would say through Melbourne, through the midfield, I mean, Oliver was clearly, you could see, he was a bit out of shape. The one thing, Sydney had a synergy. They had a team-like game plan. You could see Melbourne were more individual in their game plan. It seemed like you'd have to put it on the player. You know, if it was Petrarca, Oliver, I think at one point number 30 I think that's Neil Bull, and he kicked an absolute cracker. And you look at that and you go, how you know, these guys kicking goals out of nowhere, you know, making something out of nothing. That's not a team-like sort of system that they're running. And I think Sydney with Heaney going into the midfield, and, you know, they're down Mills, Adams and Parker.
Massive.
That's huge outs for them. And they still have come up against a very good side and absolutely just torn them to shreds in the last quarter.
Well, the reason we tipped Melbourne was because... We thought the midfield depth
tipped Melbourne.
was the midfield depth. And you just named, Adams hasn't played a game for him, but two of those players are in their top 5. But the stoppages, if you look at the stats, is actually all pretty even.
And they're all, Parker and Mills are all Australians.
Stoppages, 36 to 22.
Yeah.
There is your difference throughout the game. That is your difference throughout the game. But... Sydney were just solid. McCartan was awesome. Florent, your boy, was absolutely a superstar. Nick Blakey off the halfback line, I think, was the most consistent player on the ground. Lloyd Rampy with the attack. Then they had these classy players. Roberts, Campbell, these left footers you talked about were absolutely super. Warner had a very average first half, but that last quarter was phenomenal, especially the goal he kicked. Errol Goulden, that's probably the worst game he's played in 12.
You know what?
In 12 months.
It was. Warner turned it on. Last quarter he came out, he was clutch. He was massive for them when they needed it, because it wasn't like they had a big lead. It was 52 to 50 at 3/4 time, and then Sydney just kicked away. You had, like you said, Warner came out. He really played. Papley, you know what was great? Papley energized the bunny straight in the middle. They put him straight in the middle.
Quarter, yeah.
And they didn't hesitate. And he's the sort of player that has an impact, regardless if he gets the ball or not. And Sydney played like that. You could see that they were happy if they would make a contest in the defense, if they would spoil something. They were just pumped up. They were happy for one another. Melbourne didn't have that synergy at all.
Apart from that third quarter where they kicked 5 goals to 3, it very much was like Petrarca was trying to do too much.
Yeah.
There's a couple of bruise-free footy moments I saw where he didn't go for the tackle. He didn't go for the hard ball. Oliver started really well, but I thought he was very, like, a touch below himself. Actually looks very unfit. Yeah. I thought May and Lever, especially in that first half, were huge. I thought they were really good for them.
They were really good. May was getting frustrated, and no doubt, because he actually played a good game.
Bowie, unfortunate, was having a good game and hurt his shoulder. A lot of confidence there. Winstall, great first game. Like, his skills are fantastic.
Great composure from a first-time player. Now, one thing that really stands out to me in the team stats, 99 marks to Sydney, 63 to Melbourne. So
Sydney ran harder.
Tried to but they tried to control the ball. You could see that. The disposal efficiency ended up very similar. The disposals in general very similar.
Interesting, because in that first half, Sydney were way above Melbourne.
Yeah, but now you look at it and you go, but you know what's funny? Clearances. Sydney 45 to 34 Melbourne. That is a significant one. They wanted the ball.
It felt like they wanted the ball. Apart from that third quarter, Sydney just had hunger. And this is where stats and lineups and who's in, who's out. Sydney wanted that ball, and that's where a player like Papley is absolutely huge.
But Heaney wouldn't have had that midfield presence if it wasn't for Parker being down and Mills.
And I said it in the last game. Heaney is always, we know talent-wise he's as good as any, but can he go to that next level as a midfielder? Well, he went there. And absolutely dominated. He was absolutely fantastic and he was best on the ground.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to be doing, and we haven't revealed this, but we're going to be doing a Sports for Dummies Player of the Year. So almost like our own little internal Brownlow.
Yeah.
We're going to rank the players with 3 votes, 2 votes, and 1 vote. 3 for the best player and going down from there. So Johnny, we've come to a consensus. This is something that we both have to agree on. We both have to look at the squads, really analyse and go not just on stats wise. I mean, you could look at someone like, Brodie Grundy. How good was he?
Fantastic.
Tom Papley. But anyway, we're going to run through.
Do you want me to go 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1?
Let's go 1, 2, 3, and we can let the last player in that be the best.
1 is hard. So there were 3 that I had here. Well, we had here.
Yeah.
I thought Warner had a really slow first half, but his last quarter, he kicks a big goal. He was everywhere. 26 touches and a goal was huge. Then you got Nick Blakely, who had 26 touches, who I thought the whole game was just consistent. He's run off that halfback line, gave them energy.
Yep.
And then you had Paps, who we want to talk about energy. He started the game from start to finish, had 20 touches, kicked a goal. Was it 1 or 2 goals?
1 goal.
He kicked 1 goal, but he was just on. He was just
what was it? I think 9
scoring shots. He was involved in everything. He was the reason that he's the type of player that your barometer, like when he's up, he lifts the whole team up. So
he was their leading goal scorer and scoring assist last year. So it's epic to see. He's a bloody great player. He's only getting better.
So for 1 vote, they were between the 3, and it actually became between him and Blakely. We are going to go with Papley for 1 vote.
Papley with 1 vote. Now who's getting the second?
2 votes. He's been under pressure by me. But he's gone up against a guy who's beaten him quite consistently in their primes. He is in his 3rd club in 2-3 years.
Can I finish this off? Because we all know who you're going to say.
Sure.
He's been fully rested. He's at a team where he doesn't have the Melbourne bubble on his shoulders.
Yep.
And he's come out and he's played some serious form against arguably the number 1 ruckman in the league. Brodie Grundy. 20 disposals, 33 hitouts. He just played freaking well today. It was absolutely epic to see. And you know what? What a moment to come out at your home ground. A lot of pressure, a lot of a build up. 150 years for Sydney. There's not all the superstars are there for the team. It's not a time to F it up really. And he's come out and he's done an exceptional job. So he's going to get the 2 votes.
And that's absolutely right. And I will go back to this point because viewers, I actually want you to watch the game. Watch how he approached the centre bounces. He went right at. It was almost like he was trying to tag him out from the right contest. Yeah. But at the same time, he was getting clearances and contested possessions. It's not just looking at stats. Watch what he did. And another point that people might have missed, Grundy, again, is another midfielder. He's not really... Obviously, he's a ruckman, but he's almost another... He's another midfielder. Look at his follow-up from the second quarter onwards, where he would follow up a contest and lay a tackle. Just watch what he actually does. Watch when he doesn't have the ball. This was a big moment, and he stood up to it. And Grundy, I'm very happy for you.
And that leaves us to lucky last. Who's getting the 3 votes for this game?
For a guy who has probably the most talent on the side, and we've all been begging the question for years, when are you going to take that next step? Well, he had the chance with Mills and Parker out when they needed an side that was horrible for, as you said, contested balls last year. Isaac Heaney's first half, well, the whole game really, was sensational. He had that flair of outside, inside, overhead marks, skills, score involvements, everything.
Tackles.
3 votes.
7 tackles. I think he had 15.
Defensive acts.
Contested disposals. Like I have never looked at him as a player who plays at that caliber and he's a sort of bull.
I've
He
always
really
seen him
leveled up. He
so
stood into his
where
shoes.
I'll disagree with that, from a talent perspective,
No, he's got
what he can do
every ounce of talent.
offensively is fantastic. But he's like that half forward bit of flash.
Yep.
He went in today and was the guy.
He just proved that he's
was
actually there.
absolutely
and he
fantastic.
owns that spot. Look, to be honest, I hope they play him more like that. I hope the next 4 to 6 weeks they play him more like that and he does the same thing. I mean, kicking a goal, 26 disposals, 7 tackles, 15 contested. That's
everything.
fantastic.
He did everything.
What more do you want from a midfielder?
He did absolutely everything.
So that summarizes.
So 3 votes, Isaac Heaney, 2 votes, Brodie Grundy, 1 vote, Papley. And what's Papley's first name?
Tom Papley.
That's why I said it's Tom Papley.
It is Tom Papley. I was like, wait a second.
We will have this as a leaderboard as of next week.
Yeah.
We weren't actually going to review this game until Monday, but the game's so fresh in our mind. It was just talk about it.
Fantastic game. Like, let's be real. The first game in the AFL. You know, how can we not?
I don't know if we'll be doing that next time, but
the only reason we
we'll
did
figure
it,
it out.
We'll figure it out, but it was only because there's 4 games in the opening round. We thought there's probably no
I'm hyped
point
up on Mountain Dew.
on water. I'm joking.
Mountain Dew.
All right, that brings us to the second game preview.
Who have we got, Josh?
We've got your boys. We've got the Brisbane Lions up at Brisbane taking on the Carlton
This is depressing.
Football Club tomorrow, Friday, the 8th of March. That is going to be a big one. This was, you guys lost, 16 points in the preliminary. Sorry, not prelim. Sorry to remind you, John. Your face is twitching now.
Everyone, I'm sure if you're watching, you know I'm a Carlton supporter.
They know now.
So last year was heaven. So going to the Sydney game, don't expect to win, you win. Get the Melbourne one, you're just happy to be there, you win. Then you go to the Brisbane game. And I always think, because Carlton are going to stuff it up. We were 5 goals up 15 minutes into the first quarter. There was more Carlton supporters than Brisbane supporters. I cried. I generally thought, I'm like, this is it. All the tough. By the way, I started following Carlton in 2002, our first wooden spoon. So it's just been horrible. I'm like, I don't need to have a lid on it now. We've done it. Within 15 minutes, we were 3 goals down and the game was over. And yeah, it was horrible. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting review, just sort of at. So if you're happy, read through the sides.
Let's go through the sides. Just bear with me, everyone. I'm just going to bring them up. I was almost going to offer you a box of tissues, but then I realized we don't actually have any.
We're broke, Josh. We're broke.
I'll bring them up for everyone who's watching. So have a look right now.
So you got Lester, Payne, Starkovic. No, I probably said that right. Starkovic in that back pocket. Really solid centre-half back line. Harris Andrews, Coleman, Gardner. Harris Andrews is arguably the best defender in the competition. Coleman is the one, from personal experience, when Carlton were up, he was the one that pierced through our defences, our schemes, everything. This guy can be Hawley, Sard, Salem. This guy is one of the best halfback players I have seen from an individual standpoint. Then they've got Zach Bailey, great young player. Jared Burley, what a star. Fletcher, what a star. Then you got that centre half forward line. Hipwood, McCluggage, Cameron. Cameron's the most excited footballer, would you say, in the AFL right now?
I love watching him.
No positions, just he's the most exciting footballer in the actual AFL.
Guy can radiate, what do they say? He can just turn anything into gold.
Correct.
That's pretty much what he can do with the football.
He's just quick, he can jump. Then this full forward. Joe Danaher, a full forward. This is what I hope Mackay can do, because Danaher has had a lot of pressure from his whole life because of that last name.
Yeah.
It was a few years in the wilderness there with his goal kicking and whatnot. He was sensational last year, and especially in that grand final. He kicked 3 goals. He kicked the one that got them within a kick. You got Cam Rayner. I put Cam Rayner. He's got that dusty, DeGoey bullness. And then to a lesser extent, I'm going to say Isaac Heaney is in, have we hit his ceiling? Can he go to the next level in terms of his talent's there? Does he need the opportunity to go there?
Well,
Do you get my point?
Yeah, but when you've got such a good, look at who's around him. You got Charlie Cameron.
Well,
he takes
okay.
the line. He's going to take the limelight, obviously. And then you've got Danaher, Zorko. Zorko's the sort of player who can rack up 30 disposals and kick 3 goals.
And then you got, exactly. And then, McInerney in the ruck. Dunkley was huge from the Bulldogs, another contested possession player. Lockie Neal, two-time Brownlow medalist. And then Lohman, Archie, McCarthy, Lyons, Wilmot.
What's scary?
Do I say any more on the bench?
Lincoln McCarthy on the bench. He's a bench player. Mate, that guy in any other team starts.
Well, he couldn't make Geelong's side.
But what I'm saying...
That's how good. This is how good they... Remember, McCarthy was from Geelong.
I know. I remember.
He wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough. Ironically, he's kicked a couple of goals against Geelong to beat them. That is a very serious, strong side on paper. Now we're going to go into Carlton.
Now...
No, there's nothing wrong with this Carlton side. It's who we have out. And this is why the Sydney game gives me a little bit of hope.
Yeah?
We're on a road through. So our full back line, Lewis Young, Adam Sard, Kemp. No Wiedering there. That hurts. I said it in our preview. Jacob Wiedering.
How good's Young?
Well, he wasn't getting a game.
Because of Wiedering?
No, Marchbank's out too. This is the problem. Okay. This is the problem. So we've got Wiedering. Wiedering's our most important player. Marchbank, I don't love. Yeah. But now he becomes very important when Wiedering's not there. He's gone. Yeah. Marchbank's been injured his whole life. Finally got some games together and we trusted him. Adam Stard's an absolute star. Kemp is very good as a second or third defender. Mitch Govan at centre-half back against Danaher or Hipwood. Mitch Govan's got a lot of talent. I don't think he's I don't think as a key defender, that's great. Zach Williams, fantastic that he's back. Yeah. He missed all of last year. Nicky Newman's an absolute bull with great skills. Our centre line, this is good. Cripps, what a legend. Akers, probably kicked 2 finals moments last year. Sydney, and then that goal against Melbourne, fantastic. Kennedy, that's a slow...
Inarguably one of the best players you will ever watch.
Against Melbourne,
sorry.
Wiedering to Hollands to Doherty to Akers. It's a goal.
Yeah.
But that is a very slow centre line.
Yeah.
That's a very slow centre line.
It's not the fastest I've ever seen. Cripps is a slow ball. Akers ain't fast at all. And Kennedy definitely ain't fast.
Then we get
Kennedy's the fastest out of them, but not that fast.
Jesus. Might get me on the running. The centre half forward line, so we've got Kerno, 2-time Coleman medalist, absolute star, most talented player on this side. Matthew Owies. It was criminal that we didn't play him on prelim final day.
Believe that.
He was our second best goal kicker, and he's a clutch goal kicker, and we didn't play him. Disgusting.
What was that about? Was that just based on list? Is that just like,
he wasn't put enough on form.
That's ridiculous.
It was horrible. George Hewitt, absolute great lockdown player, hard as nails. But this is the problem. So we got Mackay, kick 3 against Melbourne. So Cunningham, Fantasia. So we don't have Motlop, Martin. So I'm not sure if Cunningham or Fantasia start that game.
What do you mean?
Well, Cunningham and Fantasia, I don't know. That Motlop and Martin aren't playing. Martin and Motlop go straight into that side.
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
So this is the problem. We've lost our 2 key defenders and our small forwards are gone. Then we got DeConing, Chera, Doherty, which I'm happy with. No Walsh.
So you'll have Martin and Motlop. So Martin will be back. He's out with a knee 2 to 3 weeks. Motlop will be back with it. He's got a toe. He'll be back in 1 or 2 weeks.
Sure. Yeah, that's what they say. DeConning was great in the final series. So Pitnet's clearly not playing. So that's interesting. DeConning's going to be the central ruckman. Okay, well, I guess Mackay's back. Chera was an absolute star before he got injured. Doherty is one of our best decision makers. I'd rather him half backline, but he has shown he can play in the midfield. No Walsh. Actually, I'd probably keep Doherty there and Walsh would be on one of the wings. Boyd was fantastic in that prelim. Hollands is a star. Cottrell's a bit of cunt. Sorry, guys. Well, we're not monetizing that. Jack Carroll, Jack Carroll for the key defence. And Lockie Fogarty from Geelong, good little, will play in the forward line. Just a little bit of too much. So on paper, it's not horrible. And after that Sydney game, but it's that back line that worries me, Josh.
So who have you got? Who are you going? Yeah, obviously would hope that your Carlton boys, your Blues are going to get up.
I think at full strength against Brisbane in Brisbane is a hard ask.
Yeah.
Let's say we had everyone there. I don't know if I'd still tip Brisbane. I think Brisbane, arguably, and there's an argument for, could win it all this year. They can win in Melbourne now. Brisbane is never going to change. Looking at our list, I was actually saying throughout the week we'd lose by 100 points. Lions by 5 goals minimum.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I didn't see Carlton winning this one. With your outs, Wiedering's a big loss, Marchbank's a big loss, and Walsh. We didn't mention Walsh. That's huge.
Then add Martin and Motlop on top of that.
Martin, yeah, they're big losses too. You know, Martin's a very good pickup for you guys. Oh, well, not pickup. He's been there for 2 years now. But yeah, I really don't see you guys winning it. So, especially being at Brisbane at the Gabba, they don't lose.
The only thing I give us is if we just dominate in the centre.
Yeah.
No. If you were to say, how do we win? Just don't let it go the other way because we're too small in our defensive 50. If we just dominate the clearances, and just dominate from there, because our forward line we still got Mackay.
You've got and Curnow.
Curnow. Let's see how Fantasia goes in his first game. Love to see him bob up, but I can't see us winning.
I think Fantasia is going to be great for you guys. I think he's going to be that silky, he's not a predominant player who's going to get in and get gritty, but I think he's a very silky sort of small forward that can actually hit the scoreboard when he needs to. He kick his two goals a game, and I think he can really impact the game. I wonder how Carlton will use him and utilise him. So that'll be interesting.
Well, as I said, Motlop and Martin would be there. So, but I think Brisbane win this. With relative ease. Out of all the games, this is probably the easiest game.
Yeah. Then we're going to go into game 2, which is on Saturday. We've got Richmond versus Gold Coast. What a game. You've got Hardwick coming up against his old team. Is it Adam Uze? Is that how you pronounce his name? The coach?
First game is
as Richmond head coach. Yep. Yeah. So that's going to be nice and big for them. Dusty's out. That's huge.
He's inking his deal.
I think
2025, 2026.
I think he's up in Gold Coast, literally.
He's staying with Damien Hardwood right now.
He's probably at the house. Like, I wouldn't
right now
denote that at all.
Partying.
Well, what is it? Thursday
Look today? At the Gold Coast coach chair. It's just nice and warm.
It's biblical. Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely
Makes
biblical.
Sense. All right, guys, we're going to run through the teams.
Sam Collins, so in the fullback line, Ballard, Collins, Elwood? I can't say it. We know Sam Collins is a cunt. At centre half back, Alex Sexton, who's been one of their best goal kickers, so that's interesting. Powell and Buderick in that centre line. Took Miller, who's just an absolute fantastic servant of this club. Brandon Ellis, who's just really brought that hard edge.
Just on that, Took Miller. Truly, if he could take it to another level.
I don't think he can.
But if he could.
No, but he can't.
Why?
I don't think...
That was such a shutdown. Why can't he
Because I don't actually think I never thought he was as good as what he's achieved.
Okay.
He just doesn't have that flash that the other ones have, like a try. It's almost like the hand-eye coordination. And everyone's going to absolutely destroy me on this.
Brutal.
But look at how the others can use their hands, get out of traffic. Took Miller can find the football good as no one else. It just doesn't damage it like the other sides. I think Took Miller is 10 times better than he should have ever been.
Okay. Look, I think he's a great player. He's consistent.
Didn't say he wasn't.
And I think that if he can take it that next level, if he can build
I'm
that
not sure
player
he
up,
can though. That's my point.
That's fair enough. I'm not going to denote that. I can't talk on his future. I think he can. I personally think he could be up there. He could potentially win a Brownlow if he really wants to.
Yeah.
That's the quality of player that they've got. It's just a matter of if he can take it to that next level and really utilize having a very good coach, having a good team around him, and just playing some good footy. So,
well, and that's where they're saying. Then you got Brandon Ellis, former Tiger. He's brought those, that good training, Richmond work ethic. Then in the centre half forward line, Humphrey, Ainsworth, Berry. The full forward line's the interesting one. Ben King, Roses, and Casbolt. Ben King's an absolute star. Casbolt, former Blue. I've always said this. He's got the best set of hands I've ever seen.
Mate, he plucks them like there's no tomorrow.
But he's got he struggles one-on-one with sort of footy IQ, and his kicking is horrible.
He has the yips. He can very much turn it on when he wants to, but that is very inconsistent and happens maybe 1 every 5 games.
Correct.
I know that's a really brutal analysis.
We had him in our club. And then you've got Witts, Anderson, Rao. So you got really good, solid, followers there. And then Flanders, Holman, Lukosius, Superstar, Swallow, McPherson. So, it's a good young brigade, and...
Well, David Swallow, veteran, he'll be there.
The veteran,
I think he'll be the... I think he's phasing out of his career, but I think he's bringing that, he's never, like what you said, he's never really hit his ceiling. I think he could have been a better player than what he was.
Maybe we did hit his ceiling. Maybe that was as good as he was. Like Took Miller.
You're pessimistic.
No, I just call the game how I see it.
Oh, okay, really.
But you're right. I
thought he was going to be better than what he was because he was made out when he was drafted.
He's never been a top 10 player in the league.
No, when he was drafted, he was poised to be that. He was made out to be that. And then I think when Gary Ablett went to Gold Coast,
you had Ablett, O'Meara. Yeah, remember Jack Martin, as silly as it was. Gary Ablett Jr. said Jack Martin's the best footballer he's ever seen.
Mate, Jack Martin was... That's why it surprises me why he hasn't done as well at Carlton.
I like him for Carlton where he is, but that speaks to Swallow, the talent that's sort of gone into it.
100%.
It's going to be interesting. Then you got the Tigers. An interesting sort of... We know about the players that have left. So the full back line... Grimes, Young, Gispers. Grimes is... I have so much respect for this guy because when Alex Rance went down, he was the best centre-half back in the league.
Yeah.
Grimes is that weird player who plays... He doesn't look like an athlete. He plays taller than he is. He doesn't look very quick. He very rarely gets beaten for pace or strength. He just does it all.
It's a really good way to look at it. I've never thought of him like that. That's actually so true though when you think about how he plays and you're like, doesn't get beaten often and he doesn't look athletic. Like,
he doesn't look
strong.
good at anything, but he doesn't lose at anything. It's really weird. And that 2019 where Rance goes down, he fills that role. And then you got the centre-half backline, Floston, Rioli, Short. Short, we've been told by... Harley, one of our good mates, is the best kick at the club. Daniel Rioli, I actually thought, I think he's an absolute superstar. So you got 2 elite kickers. Floston was a superstar when they were winning premierships. Midfield, Tim Taranto, what an acquisition last year. Absolute bull, butchers it a lot. You got McIntosh, who's always been a good runner for them, and then you got Banks on the other wing. In the half forward line, Campbell, Baker, Rioli, and then in the forward line, Bolter is definitely who's generally almost back. He's always in the back. He's going to be playing forward, obviously, because Lynch is gone.
Yeah,
Lynch is gone. Bolton is going to be playing close to home. There's no Dustin Martin and Kaczynski's first game with Hawthorn. Bolton's the interesting one. I don't think he's going to be sitting there. This is Bolton's time. I said it. Bolton will not become the superstar that he needs to be until Martin is gone.
He's got the chance.
Martin's not playing. He's gone. When they made the finals 2 years ago, before Martin came back, Bolton dominated. And then Martin came back. He dominated with possessions, but his goals dropped off. Bolton, this is his chance. Fantastic.
I think like what we predicted with Richmond, but it's Bolton's team if he takes it over. I think Martin's gone in the next year or two.
Rewalt, Cochin, Martin gone.
Yeah, I think Bolton can really turn it on. He's an exciting player. Him, like we talked about with Charlie Cameron being the most exciting. Bolton has the ability to be that most exciting in the AFL. He can turn it on. The dude can do anything. I think we played his highlights in the Richmond one, and you just look at the talent that guy has. If he can consistently deliver and be the face of that team, I think he'll really flourish.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see.
Absolutely. And then you got that ruckman. You got Naismith, Hopper, Prestia, the human meatball, and then on the bench, Broad, Dow, Ross, Pickett, Ryan. Josh, who's winning?
You know what's funny?
This is weird looking at that team. I'm not sure.
So I've looked at this and I make a lot of I haven't done footy tipping for a while, but I make a lot of my footy tipping based on gut feel. Now today I was wrong and weirdly wrong. I honestly thought Melbourne would have come out and actually just won by a little bit, but got that completely off. Sydney had something to prove with their 150 years, a lot of talent there, a lot of superstars in the crowd. I think Richmond are getting up. Even though it's at Gold Coast, I think Damien Hardwick is the coach for Gold Coast. I think Gold Coast have a lot riding on it. You know, opening round being interstate. There's a big emphasis on those teams probably winning. I think Richmond have the ability to come out, and I think they need to. I think without Martin, I don't know where he is. Why is he even out? Like, what's that about?
Signing a deal.
Signing a deal. I see Richmond winning. I know a lot of people probably don't. I think there was like 69% that actually didn't, to be precise, last time I checked. I just think that Richmond can get up in this one. I don't know how much by. I'm not going to guess on that one. I just think, like you said, Bolton. I think Bolts are going down forward. I think that shifts things with Lynch being out. I really think over on edge and on squad talent, I just think Richmond. What about you?
I like how you said the feeling thing, because it's how I've always done footy tipping. And I tipped Melbourne based on, the outs and whatnot and really analysing a side. I did have the feeling about Sydney, though, that we spoke about this off air. This game has been interesting because my feeling was Richmond initially, Martin's out, then it was Gold Coast. And it's gone back and forth. And then just looking at the sides, I'm going for the Suns. I'm going for Sydney. The Gold Coast Suns. I am going for them. I just think Richmond have lost too much now. And then with that loss of Martin, and that back line of Richmond is very exposed. The Gold Coast, and I keep being told, I've been told by you and Harley that this is Gold Coast time.
Yeah,
we know Richmond are going backwards. If Gold Coast can't win this game, everything that you guys said was shit.
So it's funny because this goes against everything that I actually predicted on.
This is the worst Richmond side in 5 years.
But what I will say is I don't know why I trust the intuition, I trust the gut, and I look at it and I go on a face value. No.
I'm not saying your intuition is wrong. But I had to sit here and listen that Richmond, the Gold Coast are having a dynasty. This is the worst Richmond side since the fucking early 2000s when Carlton, Richmond and Melbourne were horrible. If Gold Coast can't beat this side, trust me, I will say this now. I'm picking Gold Coast. If Gold Coast do not win against Richmond here, it is done. Don't worry about Dimmer. Don't worry about it all. It's another fake year.
Well, you heard the man. I'm not even going to try and dispute that. And that brings us to, well, what a game. A 1 point game in the preliminary final. Giants versus Collingwood up at GWS. What is their stadium called, Johnny? Do you even know?
I don't even know.
I think it's GMHB. I don't know. That's
Geelong.
Wow. Anyway, we're not going to go there. It's some random
Sydney.
one.
It's
Sydney,
in Sydney.
Somewhere.
It's in the outback.
In the outback. That is going to... What's really, really good? I will say one thing. The AFL has done a good job with the opening round in the sense that they've picked some good teams. You got the reigning premiers coming up against a team. You would have thought that Collingwood, Brisbane would have been playing. That would have been the logical thing.
Well, it was always Carlton, Richmond, and then the grand finalists.
Yeah, but it's great because Carlton, Brisbane were so close, like you said, and I think a lot of people felt.
Well, both these games were good. Both these games were good,
and I think what I think this will do. I mean, Giants, 1 point loss to them, to Collingwood, and that was at home for Collingwood. So it's they're going to have the home corner advantage. What did you say? Home ground advantage.
Home ground advantage.
Let's run
too much basketball.
Let's run. No. Let's run into the teams now.
Solid back. This is personally my favourite game of the round.
Yeah.
I thought the prelim final last year was the best game of the season.
Oh, 100 without doubt.
From GWS and Collingwood. Sam Taylor, ultimate fullback. Himmelberg, Iden, centre half back line, Buckley, Ash, Whitfield. Whitfield arguably is one of the best half back kicks in the league. Then you got this star-studded centre line. Kelly, Ware, O'Halloran. Love it. Centre half. Then you got the centre half forward line. I keep saying back. Riccardi, Bedford, Daniels. Probably their weakest part of their side. Then you've got in their forward line Hogan, who
still a very good part of it. Like Riccardi, yes, Bedford.
That's
Daniels pretty good.
And Daniels is a little terrier.
Yeah.
It's probably the weakest part of their side. Jesse Hogan, hats off to you, my friend. Had issues at Melbourne and Freo, bit of mental health there and form. He came back. He kicks over 50 goals last year. Absolute star. Brown's a gun. Toby Green is the most valuable player in the league. It's not close. This side was bottom 4 and didn't make the 8 the year before. Toby Green's the most valuable player in the league. He's a reverse Ben Cousins. And what I say by that is, watch how they move and how they kick. They're the exact same player. Ben Cousins was the midfielder forward. Green is a forward midfielder. They have that arrogance, that spark. How they drop the footy. They're the same bloody player.
They have that swagger.
They had that swagger. Toby Green's the most valuable player in the league right now.
Well, without Toby Green, how does that side go, Johnny?
They didn't. Well, they weren't. They almost didn't make. They almost didn't make the finals.
But if you took Toby Green out of that giant, yep,
but everyone lifts. It's almost like they get another battery in them.
When
it's
Toby
like all
Green's
these players. It's like all these players are like a grade below. He plays. They're all of a sudden stars. This guy is phenomenal. Then Briggs, Caniglio was fantastic last year. Green was fantastic last year. Then you got Ward, Thomas, Haynes, McCullen, Cadman. This side, compared to Collingwood, and we'll go through this doesn't look as good. But this GWS side plays with heart and soul and above themselves. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. And they were better for 2/3 of that game last year. At the MCG.
Collingwood would have ripped every GWS heart out like they've ripped many a hearts out throughout the last 2 years. So it's no real surprise. I think it would have been brutal. I think GWS, if they had gotten there, they would have won.
They were a chance.
They would have won. I don't think
they would have beaten Brisbane.
Yep.
Ooh, you don't think they're going to make the 8 this year?
I ain't going to talk about that.
Can you admit you were wrong? I admitted I was wrong about Grundy. Can you admit on there that GWS are making the finals?
Not until I see them play this year.
Oh.
You saw Grundy play. You wouldn't have admitted if you were wrong.
That's fair.
Without seeing him play. I'll watch how this
Very good.
You know what? If Giants make a... So I think Collingwood win. Like, I didn't even need to go through the list, but we can go.
We're going to read through this list, and there is a big difference. And this is why GWS is so good in terms of respect.
This is a big difference.
Darcy Moore, Dean Maynard. Oh, my God. So half-back line. This doesn't seem right, this half-back line.
Oh, they put Dacos on the half-back. They did what you asked. John, hallelujah.
Where did you get this side from?
This is from, mate, this is the lineup.
What, Quaino's centre half back?
This is the AFL.com. This is
Very
where
small.
they come from.
But Dacos, I agree with that. So we won't argue. Quaino, Dacos, Pendlebury.
Wait a sec. Think about their forward line though. Think about the Giants. Look at their forward line.
Dacos is on the half back line.
Yeah.
Has to be a midfielder. He would be the greatest halfback of all time. You got Pendlebury, who's the greatest Collingwood player of all time, arguably. And Quaino's no slouch. Centre line, Cripps, most underrated player in that side. I have literally seen him against Carlton just rip us apart. Josh Dacos was the best wingman last year. Hoskin Elliott is a weird footballer to match up on. He's that weird medium to tall height where he's not too tall that he can't run against the best runners, but he's good overhead that he takes it over him. The centre half forward line, Myerchak's centre half forward. This is why I'm questioning the list because Myerchak is centre half forward. Ash Johnson back in the side, still bottom. For his age, he's the best left and right foot. He can play half back, half forward, wing wherever you want him to play. And then you got the full forward line: Lipinski, Elliott, Mr. Clutchman, Bobby Hill or Norm Smith Hill. What do you want to call him? And then Cameron Degoe, Schultz. Gee, they added Schultz. Oh, all that talk about GWS, they're fucked. And then, okay, this bench line. Noble, Mitchell, McQuarrie, Markov, Mason. Oh, God.
You know what the funny thing is? Tom Mitchell is on the
He's a
bench.
Brownlow medalist.
He's on the bench.
But this was how good Collingwood were last year. They added Mitchell in as that
Dude,
contested
that guy was
ball.
getting like 40 disposals
At
every
Sydney.
game at Hawthorn. And
When
Sydney.
he's 40 touches at Sydney, Brownlow at Hawthorn comes into a Collingwood side that were lacking contested ball, comes in, win. Mason Cox is your backup, who has proven in finals, single-handedly destroyed Alex Rance and ruined Richmond's back-to-back dreams.
Can I say this? He's Mr. Clutch. I think that stems from his basketball background.
Mason Cox.
Yeah. I don't understand that, but like he's a very clutch player.
This is how good GWS is. If you look at those two sides,
Yeah.
there's a glaring difference.
100%. Like a huge difference. It's overpowered.
How good is GWS, though,
If anyone
to
plays
travel? to the MCG.
Yeah, to even get close.
I'm going to pick Collingwood here, and I do feel they'll win by a couple of goals. If GWS win, though, I'm almost declaring them as the flag favourites from a mental standpoint.
Collingwood win for me.
Yeah.
Comfortably. I don't know.
How much do you reckon?
I think it's 20 plus.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be
You read
big.
that fucking side out, yes. That just shows how good they are. How mentally strong and much of a team. Because I did this when GWS played Port in the semi-final, and it was very similar. Port were dominant, and Giants smacked them. Smacked them.
So I think their mental ability, the
They have
Giants on
edge.
paper don't have the edge,
I agree.
but mentally, and their captain, Toby Green, the
Most
MVP,
valuable player in the league. Will you agree with that? He's the most valuable player in the league.
There's
Is there anyone more valuable than him?
So, bringing back to the basketball reference, and there's only 5 players that are playing
Sure.
at the time on the court. You have your MVP, and it's really centered around that one player.
Sure.
You take that one player out, the team's done.
Cool.
It's like you take out Toby Green out of Giants, they're done.
No fine. Nick Dacos missed 4 games last year.
They're fine without him.
Correct.
And that's the thing. Regardless, Toby Green,
Yeah.
like you can look at the
Yeah.
Brownlow, right? We can analyze the Brownlow and go, you take, a player like Petrarca. How would you analyze Petrarca
Superstar.
if you took him out of Melbourne? How would that go?
They would drop. But I still...
But not as much as what Giants would.
No one would drop
Without
as much
Toby Green.
as Toby Green. Toby
Yeah.
Green and Bontempelli are the most valuable players in the league right now.
Yep.
You take
Yeah, I
Bont
agree.
out of Dogs. Dogs didn't even make the 8.
Yeah.
They're easily the most valuable. I'm not saying they're the best, but it almost carry. They're the 2 most valuable players.
So I think you're right. Like I think Toby Green, but he stands out way above Bont because he's taken his team to a preliminary fight. Why do I keep saying prelim?
I love that you said that because
It's horrible.
did you see what came out? The coaches picked and everyone has Bont above Green.
Why though? Because it doesn't make any sense. You can't say
Bont's an interesting one because think Scott Pendlebury, yeah. Bont is Scott Pendlebury, but bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah, that's true. And he hits the scoreboard more.
He is not Toby Green, man.
That's what I mean. He doesn't have that.
You forgot about Ben Cousins.
So you know what's funny? So you look at a player and I know we're going back to the start of this whole show.
Sure.
A player like Papley, who's this energizer bunny for the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Toby Green almost does that for his team. He was that kind of bad boy for the team at the time. He came in, he was getting suspended. All of a sudden he gets placed as captain.
He's leadership.
Now he's the leader. Now he's the absolute dominator.
He's more as I said, and people miss this, like he's a Ben Cousins type and they go to the negative thing or, well, he's not a midfielder. Watch how they actually move as footballers.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Watch how they move as footballers, as in kicking style, how they move without the ball, the swagger. He actually is the same footballer.
But the positioning of how he plays too, the footy smarts are.
Look at how they drop the ball. To the point of how they kick the footy.
Yeah.
They are so similar. They got a cheeky grin.
Yeah.
When you're looking at football, guys, actually watch players. Don't look at stats and all that. Watch how they move. But this GWS team, to the point, you put those sides together and it doesn't work.
Well, I think.
And they made a prelim last year.
You know what? Go through every squad. Pick
Carlton
the best
look better
player.
than that side. Carlton look better than that side on paper.
But pick every single side. Go through every single side. Pick the best player. Remove that player and tell me if they're still successful. The Giants would be the worst off if you take Toby Green out. And that makes him the MVP right now.
I agree with that. Me and one of my mates, Ben, who's a Carlton supporter, when we were going into the finals, we knew Carlton were going to make the finals. We're like, who's the team we don't want to play? It wasn't Collingwood. It wasn't Brisbane. It was GWS. And we played GWS after a massive run in the last round. They beat us by 10 goals. Because we know they have a hard edge.
100%.
That hard edge, and it starts from their leader.
They're a good squad to watch. And I think you're right. So you're going... Did you say you're going Collingwood or GWS?
Collingwood.
Okay.
For all that, we said Collingwood.
Yeah, for all that, we definitely did. Let's summarise for the viewers out there. So, obviously, Brisbane, Carlton.
Brisbane easily.
I'm saying Brisbane easily. Then you've got the Suns and Richmond, obviously. Yeah.
Suns by a few goals. Thank you, Richmond by a few goals.
I'm Richmond. Yep.
And then Collingwood by a couple of goals.
Collingwood the same. So, I think, Collingwood by just over 20. I don't think it's going to be a big win. If GWS get up, it's going to. Can really we declare?
Well, one, you have to admit they're going to make finals, and I might declare them as the.
I will.
Premiership favourites.
I will 100%. I'll almost. Yeah. I'll. Yeah. Without doubt. If that happens, there might have to be like a public apology. It's almost like when you lose a game of pool and you don't get one ball in. You drop your strides and you walk around the table with your shame down. So, I definitely agree.
God damn, I hope Collingwood win.
That wraps
it up, guys.
Opening round part 2. Is there any other final thoughts? How
good's it footy's back, guys. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching. As always, any comments, what you thought about tonight's game, what you thought about our tips, if any ideas, how sides could get better. And
please put your tips. Write who you reckon are going to win. We probably should have. The hard thing with the Thursday and the Wednesday game, not the Wednesday games, the Thursday games is being able to tip. We will every time moving forward ask for everyone to put their tips in the comments for the next round. So Guys, it'd be great. It's been an absolute pleasure. Once again, thank you for everyone who is subscribing. It actually means the world. Every time we see, I know it sounds really silly, but we see, there's 220 of you. Every time we see an extra one, it means
we generally get excited. We started this, 4 or 5 months ago, and if you even watch that first episode, we're talking about basketball. Like the whole thing's different. We both look different. Can't appreciate you enough.
I was gonna say, hold up. Can anyone right now, if you are watching, go to the first ever video of Sports for Dummies. Go and watch a video. Have a look at how John looks versus now, and comment, because there is a significant difference. Now, I can't say the same. I look pretty.
You look different too.
I think it's the quality of the show has changed.
Yeah, you don't want to be repulsed, but like, subscribe, and ring the fucking bell.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. We're going to see you in the review for the opening round, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you
Thanks
later.
for watching. Bye.